Thank you everyone for coming to this meeting. We aim to do two things. We had hoped that a representative of East Sussex County Council would be here. Surprise, surprise. I asked on the 22nd of October for them to attend a public meeting. I then again asked on the 5th of November for them to attend, and I formally wrote to them on the 17th of November, every time told that I would get a reply in due course. No surprise they've not managed to come, but I am pleased to say that the Chief Executive wrote back to me to say that she is interested in listening to the outcome of this meeting. So we are recording this meeting, and what we are hoping to do is, on the post-it notes around, the questions that she has posed, we would like you to put your responses there. And we will collate that, and Chris and Christine will meet with her personally, and I will meet with her personally, and the directors, and pass this forward as your representation. We want to make it clear that there is a strong view, or my view is, and Chris's view I think, and Christine's view is, I hope it is shared by you, there is a strong view in Peacehaven of three things. One is that library provision needs to be strengthened, not reduced. Two is that East Sussex Council continually and routinely have marginalised Peacehaven and Telscombe. In my letter to Becky Shaw, I reminded her we are the fourth or fifth biggest town in the county. But we feel like the 10th or 12th. When my conversation with her, she referred to us in the same breath as Rye, a village, a small town of 7,000 people. Now, it was not malice of her to do that, but it shows the thinking of the county about the size and population and needs that we have here in Peacehaven. So I want us, out of this meeting, to show that there is a strength of feeling, the population here in Peacehaven, that the county needs to listen more. And I know your county councillors will be working hard, but we need to show them that it's not just two people who have got elected on a fluke, but it is a feeling. And then finally, I would like to think not just about saving our library, but also thinking about what we would like that library provision to look like going forward. And the ask that I gave the county council, that I want them to grab with two hands, is that I think that they need to be doing a review of all services that they offer here in Peacehaven. We have a children's centre. We have the job. They own the building where the nursery is attached to this building. They own assets here in this town. But there is no discussion about how they coordinate those assets. And maybe it does mean they're moving assets around, rebuilding certain things, in building developments, rebuilding the job, using some of that space. But it needs to be a coordinated plan with the developers, with the district council, and with the co-op. And it can't just be the county council making premature leaps. So that's what I'm hoping to come out of this. Now, I think that it's important. At the moment, the county council is run by the Conservatives, and the district is the Rainbow Coalition, and the town, of course, is non-partisan, how we run things here at the town council. But I think it's important also to say, I don't believe that this is some vengeance on a party political line. I think this is just a county council that has to have officers that are overstretched. The county council chief executive also has an evening job of being the chief executive of West Sussex County Council. She's the chief executive of two different county councils. They are planning to do more of that management sharing across the county council. Well, I think that we need, before we start sharing our management resources with the other county councils, we need to actually make sure that they are focused and working on our area, on what we need here. And we need heads to be banging together to make sure action happens.
Well said.
Yes, there is a scandal about MPs having second jobs, but we have a chief executive we want. But a quip on the side there. Look, I've got no problem if everything is going well for you to share resources. If it's not, then we need extra focus here in Peacehaven. So that is what I would like. So the aim is that I want to hear your views and hear the strength of your views on the recording, and so we will open that to the floor. But I also want you to put those post-it notes around the room. Now, there is a hope that with some of the meetings that we've got coming up, with Lewis District Council, the Town Councils, Sopton Residents Association, ploughing their weight behind it, that the County Council might rethink. We've had some indications that they might be warm to that idea, but we need to show them very clearly now that they need to be more than lukewarm. They need to be on that idea and stay here and keep the library services open. I've got, you can see also the posters either side. Now, we don't do this to necessarily show what fantastic idea it is. We do it to show this is the very best that the artist's impression can come up with. And do remember, the artist's impression is always 10 times, 20 times better than the reality. So this poster here, which is the proposal of the actual permanent part of the library, is in a storeroom and I think currently is in the music room of the job. So it also requires losing facilities in the job, the youth centre, something that the town council has put resources into to try and make sure it's open even more, not less. So that's their proposal for their permanent fixture, 39 square metres compared to 1,000 square metres at the moment, to give you an idea of the change of scale. And on this side, they've made it look like there will be a fantastic new hall. Well, no, this is a sports hall at the moment. So they're proposing one of two things. We're not quite clear. One is that the sports hall is not really going to be used as a sports hall, and it's going to be like that all the time. So then we lose the facilities. Or two, which they kind of indicated, but not been very clear about, is that every day all of that will be cleared out, put into storage, and then it can be used as the youth centre, and then in the morning someone will come back and put it all back out. Well, if you look at that artist's impression, the second option is fantasy, unless you're going to employ three kind of burly movers, which will probably be more expensive than paying for a temporary facility, which of course was an option, and which is what the option in other libraries when they've had to change and they've had to move. The county council has paid for prefabricated buildings on sites when there's been temporary moves for a year or two. And finally, the biggest problem with this is that they call it temporary, but they will not explain what their plans are beyond it being temporary. So if this was a temporary measure, and we knew that they had signed the lease for a new library that was about to be built on a site, I think we would all be happy to live for a year or two having a library temporarily shared in another facility. It wouldn't be ideal, but we probably could live with it. And we would think of other options. It might not be the job that's the best option. It might be temporarily located here or in some of the offices. But we could explore that. But the problem is, they haven't said what the end outcome is. Are they wanting to build a new facility? Are they waiting for the co-op to build their facility? Are they going to acquire new facilities? And that is the problem, and why actually it's important to resist this temporary move, because the danger is it will become a permanent move. So, I want to hand over back to Christine. That's my stall that I've pitched out. The county council did say, when I asked, why didn't you consult me? And bearing in mind, I only wrote to them, I've been writing to them on and off about the library for a long time, but I wrote to them in February, saying that I knew development was happening in the Meridian Centre. Could they engage in a conversation with us about what we wanted the future to look like? They wrote back saying, and the words were, as soon as I have more information, I will be in touch, the Assistant Director of Communities. Well, the first moment they were in touch was when they produced a press release. They bundled our two councillors into a room, and they released a press release at the same time that they were briefing our council. First of all, democratically disgraceful behaviour. But secondly, when I asked, why did you do that? They were said, we were afraid that you might react badly.
No, sir.
Well, no, Sherlock. Of course, we're going to react badly. But I wrote back and said, well, the bigger reason that I'm reacting badly now is because You said that you would be in touch when more information and ideas were coming forward, and then you didn't bother because you thought that we might not be happy with the outcome. That is not how you treat a partner in a relationship that you're trying to build to make sure an area is represented. So we want to make sure that our voices are heard loudly. There is an issue of them considering Peacehaven and Telscombe as two rather than one. There's a separate discussion maybe to be had about how we resolve that. But when you put Peacehaven and Telscombe together, we are the fourth biggest town in the county, and it is well time that we make sure our voice is heard through this. If the county won't do a consultation, we will do it, and we will present it to the county, and we will show them that Peacehaven and Telscombe is not a place to be messed with.